And we're back.
Welcome back.
So, you sweep through the remaining chambers. There are only a few. There seems to be a small, like, communal area. A number of bedrooms. A small kitchen that doesn't seem to have ever been used. But just seems to be full of, like, sort of travel rations and a series of various other provisions. There is an armory, which is currently empty, presumably because it has been used to outfit the unconscious individuals you have upstairs. And there is another room, which basically there is a I should have looked the spell name up. But basically there is another gateway here that is currently closed, and you don't have any indication as to where this would lead when it was open.
This is the room to keep an eye on then.
Yeah, that's probably where they're gonna come out of. Okay, well, if we don't find anything too of interest, I guess it's time to talk about splitting up.
I guess that might be a good idea.
Well, I mean, it's basically who's going to stay here and who's going to help Jhaldrym to Daemaris Manor.
On one hand, I wish that I would really want to stay because I don't want to leave anybody in this dangerous situation. On the other hand, I think I guess I am sort of a representative. And I'm guessing you can take care of yourselves.
And no one else really talked to her.
Yeah.
So I guess it would make the most sense if you go.
Okay. So, Grim, you make your way to the Daemaris Manor.
Yeah.
And everyone else stays here?
Yeah. As soon as he's departed, I want to ritual cast alarm in the room with the closed gateway.
Okay.
Well, actually, as we leave, before we actually leave, so I should just take this ring off the door, right? And then so we can open it whilst we're anywhere, right? Or do you want to keep it as an escape option?
Well, Elizabeth can play and shift us out, so...
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the escape option.
Okay. Otherwise, send me a message.
Besides, yeah, you'd be able to just, in theory, pop it on the door near the manor if you know.
Yeah, well, we'll release it. We'll use it somewhere sensible.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Grim, you leave, take the ring off the door. To those of you inside, when Grim removes the ring, the door just disappears.
But yeah, so I've got a question. If we were in this main room, would we still be able to hear the sound of a handbell?
No.
Okay, yeah, then I'll go for the mental ping.
Okay. Cool. So, Grim, you head to the Daemaris Manor and make your request. It takes a short while, but again, you are escorted basically by the I've forgotten her name again. The lady you met previously.
Oh yes.
To Saradra's chambers. And yeah, she basically sits there, and as you approach, sort of leans forward and says, You return so soon?
So I'm currently speaking to the
To the matron, yes.
the matron themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, also, like, I assume you're taking Jhaldrym?
Like it depends.
was
If he
the-
wants to join, I would make sense. But he
Yeah,
also
so
could have
does
gone
he
off
want
to
to-
his
So,
own connections.
Jhaldrym will stay with you because stay with Kelariis, Arya, and Elizabeth, because he seems uncertain that Lady Domator will talk to him. And he just seems slightly worried in general.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, you arrive, she says, so soon.
Yes. Well, we have the entirety of the auditors at least under control would be one way of putting it. We managed to save Jhaldrym. There is one little there's one small thing that still needs to be taken care of.
He wishes my assistance.
Well, I guess that too, because due to the way things went down, like they're all still alive, just in case we need them alive instead of dead. Personally, I will admit I have nothing against killing the remainder of this cult.
She holds up a hand and says, that would be unwise.
Yes. That's why we kind of assumed you might have a better clue of how to handle these finer details. I have them all with me in a pocket plane. All I need is a door to access it. If you want access to, well, anyone really.
She seems quizzical for a moment and says, you defeated them and was able to secure their base of operations?
Well, we defeated them in their base of operations, more specifically. And that's how we ended up with their base of operations. We do know that we do believe there is a second entryway potentially that could be opened from somewhere else. However, we have not figured out where that is yet.
From the Underdark, most likely. We would do well to remove them as soon as possible. What you have in your hands right now is a very powerful political playing piece for this city. If it is tipped the wrong way, it could spell devastation. Tipped the right way, however, and it may be the force that many individuals have been looking for a long time.
That is kind of the conclusion we came to as well. I will go ahead and say for obvious reasons, I'm not familiar enough to make an educated decision on who should get the power. And personally, I would not object if you wished it for yourself. However, I would, of course, consider it a little suspicious. Not that I would have anything against it.
Your suspicions would be well founded. I am curious. Jhaldrym Visimus is among those who would wish this power for himself. It would go a long way to further him and his organization's goals. Yet he has sent you to me.
I personally believe he is still somewhat shocked from the situation, or like because like he was several hours away from going to what did
The pit.
Vrur Iran or something along those lines, and I've understood that is not a place you return from.
Yeah, she smiles and says, despite the butchered pronunciation, yes, that is a place that is best avoided. I can only assume if the Sisterhood were preparing to transfer him, then they were prepared to reveal his secrets, which means they knew them.
He kind of imagined his reputation had been destroyed.
I have my suspicions as to why he now sent you to me. Bring him to me.
Well, I could, well, I guess it is as simple as just attaching it to the door. However,
I will make provision.
I would, yes, I assumed so.
Yeah, her associate, whose name I've completely lost in my notes, takes you to a place where you can secure the ring. Those of you who are in the main chamber watch as a far more ornate door appears in the wall and is then pushed open by Grim.
Yes. Guys, I'm still working on it. And Jhaldrym, would you mind coming with me? I guess I have to shout a little.
Yeah.
But,
He looks a little anxious, like looks to the rest of you and sort of says, "Just me?"
Just you for now.
He takes a couple of steps forward and heads out. Yeah, and then the same blindfold rigmarole is repeated. You are brought before Matron Domator again. Where, yeah, she, like at the moment the two of you enter the room, she perks up and says, "So, Scion of Visimus, we have business." Jhaldrym sort of like looks at you, Grim, like looks back at her and says, "Yes, Matron Mother, I believe we do." And they begin to converse in Undercommon.
Of course.
Any hope I had of interjecting, just yeah.
I can't cast comprehend languages on other people.
Because you are yeah.
Guess we wouldn't have considered it.
But yeah, give me an insight check.
Yeah, I was about to ask. I guess you can always, deduce if he's happy or sad. Well, although this is Grim, so
Okay.
maybe.
There is an extensive exchange going on, and they are bartering. What they are bartering for is unclear.
Well, I have a hunch what they might be bartering for, but I really don't want to mess with this beforehand. Like,
yeah.
I know I know we need to get into politics, but I feel like this is not the time to interfere.
Yeah. It's a time and a place to simply stand there, and this is that time and place. At ease, soldier.
I wonder when they're done. I guess they'll just wait till I'm addressed again, or it is clear.
Yeah,
that
there's a pause while Jhaldrym seems to think deeply. He nods in affirmation, and then Matron Saradreza Demator turns to you, Grim, and sort of says, "It is agreed then."
May I ask what has been agreed?
I will take custody of the prisoners for the meantime. As for the rest of the terms of our agreement, I will leave those to Jhaldrym to divulge if he wishes.
Well, I have a hunch that we won't. Well, after this, that we won't be seeing each other for quite some time. Unless you think we'll meet again.
That depends on what you intend to do with your affairs when you leave here. I would still very much like to have a word with your elf.
That will be fine.
Oh yeah, we did say we were going to do that, didn't we? We did say we were going to bring her along next time we talked to her, and then we didn't.
Oh yeah.
Well, she's in my pockets.
Yeah.
That is
Could
the
bring her
worst
out.
way to word that.
She's in the pocket plane.
But well, because there is one thing that after all this you might consider, but I won't. Well, I'll just. If you could, after all this, all these things that have happened, there is one thing that we have been trying to achieve all this time, and you might be able to help us out.
I will hear it.
Just every month or so, if you would be willing to send a letter to the Amber Eagle with any out of the ordinary activity. I guess mainly I guess our main interest is with the Red Legion, Ferrous Dune in general. However, keeping an eye on them by ourselves is somewhat tricky. And if you would be willing to send us an update every now and then, that would be much appreciated. Wouldn't have to be you personally, but I would leave, how you would wish to do that, I would leave up to your discretion.
And what would the house receive in exchange?
Could offer payment, or if in case of
She gestures to the room around her and says, "I have little use for gold."
Well, I am aware. I am not quite sure what I would be offering you initially, in this current state. I guess the best thing we can offer is well, you do have, well, I guess you have your own people to take care of things. I don't want to say that you owe us one, but it would be, I guess you would have our appreciation and perhaps some favor. Actually, I can tell you would gain some favor. So we are a bit of an up and coming force, if you will, if one might say.
Information in exchange for favors.
Or information.
Very well.
Also, I would be happy to talk to her if she wants to talk to me, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you would have asked me before.
We would definitely have mentioned it, and then
I mean, I don't know what the fuck she wants from me, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm slightly scared about it, but we'll be fine.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I might as well tack it on. And you mentioned you wish to speak to the elf, Arya.
I have a name.
Yeah, he used it.
Yeah. She didn't know your name until this point.
Oh,
Or if
okay.
she did, she didn't reveal it.
Yeah, like I felt like the elf is the clearest way of communicating in this case, but never mind. If you wish to speak to her, that is also possible. Can also be arranged at a later time. I just realized I completely forgot about that little request.
It is understandable. I was not expecting you to return so quickly, but it is fortunate that you did. Inform her that I wish to speak to her, and if she comes, then we will speak.
Now I'm really curious as to what she wants.
Well, I have
So curious.
I have her just like Jhaldrym in the pocket plane. I can send her up.
Okay.
Yeah,
you do another exchange. As you sorry,
before I leave, I guess I might as well ask: would you prefer to be private, or would you prefer others to be present?
What I have to say is between her and myself.
What the fuck?
I can respect that. Then I will send her up alone.
All these
Okay.
drows waiting to talk to me.
Okay.
Look, you're special.
Yeah. I
Uh,
don't know,
Maybe
maybe
just
these
want
drow
to
really
talk
do
to
just
Arya.
have. Yeah, maybe they just think, maybe they all just want your time. They've all secretly got a crush on you and they just want anything to talk to you. Who knows? Maybe it's an innocent thing.
Rob.
So-
There's noise.
So as you the rest of you step back into the plane, Jhaldrym takes the handle of the door from you, Grim, and closes the door behind them, but behind the two of you, and says, "Let's wait here for just a moment before we do anything else."
You
Yes,
saying this to me? Or
Jhaldrym is saying it to Grim.
oh.
yeah,
like- You can probably hear him. You're just across the room from him at the moment.
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, he sort of walks towards the rest of the group and begins to talk and sort of says, "So, it seems this day is a day for confessions."
Oh, here we go. Get those
Aye.
details.
And what's being confessed?
I suppose the easiest way to begin is, how much have you heard of the allegations that were levelled against me by the auditors?
Just that you were interfering with other house business.
Yeah, the same charges that were leveled at House Domator.
I see. Well, the accusations run a little deeper than that. But I must be honest, as Lady Domator basically coaxed it out of me in exchange for our deal anyway. I am guilty of everything they say I am guilty of.
Just what are they saying you're guilty of?
I have been interfering with house business and interacting with less desirable individuals in the eyes of, well, the wider ruling council of the city and the Underdark. He turns to you, Arya, and sort of says, "I mentioned this briefly when we spoke in private, but I am in the business of destabilizing the way the city is run in an effort to introduce more unique perspectives to the city's ruling council, and in turn drive us away from some of the more archaic methods of our people. I work with a group of like-minded other individuals, and we have been subtly endeavouring to make changes. It is part of the reason I was so eager to invest in the success of this operation, although things have taken a change. I suppose what I'm trying to say is I have struck a deal with Lady Jhaldrym. I expect it will not be long before the auditors make public the knowledge of what it is that I have been up to, and I will become a wanted man. I will no longer be able to perform my work as I did in the city before. And Lady Jhaldrym has offered me an alternative. No doubt when the allegations come to light, I will lose my scionship. Lady Jhaldrym has offered me shelter as a houseless.
What does that mean? Besides the obvious.
Yeah, he sort of he like picks his thumbs together for a second and just sort of says, among Drow society, the houseless are considered to be below the rest of society, more on the level of. He grimaces a little bit and says, "Your kind among the city."
I knew that was what he was going to say.
At least he seems like he doesn't want to say it that way.
No,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to say it.
Not trying to be racist, but
Yeah.
But
The way things are.
yeah, he sort of says this is not exactly a desirable outcome for my goals, but it will allow me to pursue my aims still from within the city. And that is better than the alternatives, which are abandoning my goals and leaving the city forever to wander wherever I will wander, or to be thrown in prison or summarily executed, whichever takes people's fancy.
I see. I have to ask, how did you know about us before we came here?
He sort of like half smiles and sort of says, truth be told, I took an interest in your organization and their activities, the Amber Eagle, after hearing them in passing. You recall I told you of the last time somebody of elven bloodline came to our city. I believe you know them. Or at least they knew of you.
This be.
Vigilante by the name of Llewellyn.
Oh,
He
that makes sense.
came to our city in an effort to deconstruct a smuggling ring is the best I can summarize his aims. he was a little inconvenient for myself and the people that I ally with, in that we were also investigating them, and his actions could quite easily have blown the cover of myself and several notable individuals within my organization. I took a particular interest in shutting him down. And I think, to a certain extent, I was successful. I think he got away with what he needed, but he didn't cause any lasting damage. But through learning about him, I in turn learned about yourselves. And what it is that you got up to in the Underdark previously.
I have to say, they painted it a little worse than that it was.
You broke into a foundry, murdered several citizens of the Underdark, and made off with a haul of priceless artifacts.
We reacquired. Well, we snuck in, reacquired some family heirlooms, and then in a panic had to accidentally grab some more because we had no time because the alarm went off. It was not quite as smooth as we'd hoped it would go, but so yeah, it's all in an effort to, well.
He holds up a hand and says, "There is little need to explain. I am acutely familiar with the difference in cultural understanding and the need to walk a thin line between what is morally acceptable and what is not."
I'm just curious as to why you would hear that story, realize that one of the key members of this organization is an elf, and then decide to trust us anyway. Seems a little odd.
He pauses for a moment and just sort of says, "There isn't really a simple way I can put this. But ever since I was young, I have had a tenuous relationship with the governance of this city. My father was houseless. And that fact was a significant shame for Visimus. I do not think they meant it perhaps as harshly as they did, but their judgment of him was definitely at least partially passed down through my mother to myself. I spent my formative years before becoming a scion as a enforcer, roaming the streets as you have done in this great city, and realized that what most drow see from their ivory towers is not what the rest of the world sees. This doesn't make it any less of a gamble in my trusting you, but I heard what you did in other places. I heard what you did for people who owed you nothing. And I was desperate. I took a risk. As Lady Domator pointed out, it was incredibly ill-informed and has perhaps at least somewhat backfired on me. But I still see it as a success. Because although I will lose my status, and my organization will suffer a setback. We have in turn permanently tarnished the reputation of those who seek to keep order intact for all the wrong reasons. I did not go into this intending to be a martyr, but fully understanding that that was one of the possible outcomes. I'm just happy that Lady Domator has given me the opportunity where I am merely a pariah than a head on a spike.
Seems decidedly unfair that you expose corruption and get punished for it.
He grimaces ever so slightly and sort of says, "That is unfortunately part of the problem with this city." I love it.
Change overnight.
I really do. This whole place, I want it to be different. And it is my hope that one day it will be. And I hope it is in my lifetime.
Wow. I do believe, I would agree, I do believe we've changed this place. I guess there's one burning question I have. Is the auditors being, well, what they are now, will they get replaced?
Elethrana's contingent is but a small portion of the Auditor's strength. They will no doubt be replaced, and no doubt there will be other sympathizers within it, but now that we have seen their truth, I think there will be more people who are willing to question them.
I guess it's not going to be easy, but if it, for whatever reason, doesn't work out here, feel free to stop by. I know it's not well, probably going to be almost impossible for a drow to make it up there to Ivywood Market, but I might as well put the offer out there, considering how things are not going to, by the sounds of it, are not going to be great. But I guess you'll still be able to do something from here for your cause.
I appreciate the offer, and if by some miracle I ever make it to your headquarters with all of my internal organs still inside my body, I will take you up on that offer, as unlikely as that may be.
I mean, we would be willing to get you out.
He sort of like,
I can't speak for everybody else.
he sort of like looks at you and sort of says, "That." Do not mistake this as being ungrateful, but the part of me that has been taught to question and to be paranoid would ask why you would do that.
Well, you helped us with our goals, and we got to see that you were working for the betterment of this whole city. Seems unfair to just leave you to die.
Or worse.
Or worse.
And you said it yourself, you know that this isn't exactly unusual for us. There's no strange motive behind us offering something like that.
We just want to
No,
help.
of course, forgive me. normally the people I lie to and use for ulterior purposes don't generally tend to then offer their lives to defend my own. It's something I'm not entirely familiar with.
You know, considering your lies were not exactly harmful, we kept things from you as well.
Yeah.
I suppose that is true.
Besides, you're the first drow I ever met that didn't hate me on sight. It's quite a odd sensation.
I will admit you are also the first elf I have had in my guardhouse, let alone in my office, who hasn't been brandishing weapons and making threats.
Well, you didn't give me a reason. Say that.
I'm quite glad I did not. It was a pleasant surprise.
Hey, look, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that a situation in which you all could have died is a surprisingly good bonding experience.
Yeah, it'll bond you pretty quickly.
So it would seem. Still, this has taken long enough and we should not keep the matron waiting. He sort of turns to Kelariis and Elizabeth and says, if I may, we should secure the prisoners to be transferred. Matron Domator has secure facilities that she will transfer them to. She will not tell me where, but that they will not end up in Auditor hands is sufficient for me. I have a please. I could use your assistance in transferring them into their custody. I myself realise that there are some things that I must take care of back in my office. Paperwork
Will you be
and...
alright to go alone?
For the moment, I do not believe that my situation is common knowledge, though I would not... Your help would not be unwelcome.
Also, Rung has been kind of worried about you.
Poor Rung.
He risked his, he kind of risked his ass for us as well.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Well, you know, like, we uncovered some things and he conveniently, you know, filed stuff in different fashion to buy us some time.
I see. Perhaps he has been learning more from my methods than I thought. Again, I find that strikingly unusual. He seemed the kind of person who was perfectly content to be adequate. I guess circumstances really do bring out the change in people.
I really do.
But yes, it turns back to Arya and says, the matron wishes to have a word with you in private.
With you, drowse and wanting to talk to me. I say that clearly as a joke.
Yeah.
You say that out loud?
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
that out loud.
Yeah, he sort of chuckles and sort of says, I think in this case it may be related to the same reason I wanted to speak to you.
Alright, well,
Wow.
let's get on with it.
Okay. So yeah, while the rest of you prepare prisoners for transport or help Jhaldrym go to his office, Arya, follow me.
Woo! Hello.
Hello. Okay. So you are blindfolded and led into the matron's chambers. where she sits. She like oh, you were there for the description of like her with the veil over her face and the long dress. She beckons you to sort of come closer and says, "Approach, child of the moon. There is no reason for you to be wary here."
Well, you'll have to excuse me, but the few interactions I've had with Drow are not particularly all great.
A few thousand years of prejudice will do that to anyone. But you have nothing to fear from me. Do you go closer?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, she sort of like I guess she sort of like leans towards you and like lifts up the veil in front of her face, and you can see that either she is blind or incredibly short-sighted.
Okay.
And she is well, she must be incredibly short-sighted because she basically is like peering at you through through the dark, trying to make you out. And she sort of says, I called you here because I wish to know something. And I understand if that truth is not given freely.
What do you wish to know?
I know why your companions came here. They seek to dismantle the Dread Legion and everything it stands for. I'm curious. What is your stake in all of this?
Well, the Dread Legion is obviously also my battle. For my friends, but also for me. It's not... We've had run-ins with them in the past, and it's not ended well. And I've seen the kind of destruction they are capable. Considering the fact that we have sort of made it our goal to eliminate groups like them. That was my motivation with coming here. Though I was wary, of course. A city full of drow is not exactly the place that elves would like to be.
No.
But I have to admit, after meeting with Jhaldrym, it certainly changed my view on a few things.
He is like you, I think. An oddity among his kin. I keep my eyes on the elves. I know what they are like. Even generations later, they still prefer to hide in their forests and in the Feywild, shutting out any problem that is not their own. Yet you have wandered far.
Well, it was hard to ignore the outside world after a certain point in my life. It was necessary to leave the elves and set out on my own path.
That is curious.
Well, let's just say that I had a very close encounter with the type of evil that I was not even aware existed. And there was only one choice, but to banish it after that.
She seems to digest that for a moment. And then she says, I suppose by this point, Jhaldrym has come clean with you.
He has.
What do you make of his goals?
I think they're admirable. It's not easy to fight against the society that raised you. It seems unfair that he's being punished for it now. But I understand that this type of change takes time.
She nods and so says, I have offered him a lifeline. No doubt it will sully my own favour, but something about him intrigues me. I wish to see how far he will get. I see a mirror between him and what you saw among the auditors. Two sides, polar opposites, but with a common goal. Twisted, of course, by perspective. They both wish to establish fairness for those they believe should have it. The auditors believe that that is the Drow and the Drow alone. Jhaldrym and his unionists believe that it should be everyone, in equal measure. The biggest problem I see is in their methods.
What are you talking about exactly?
You have seen them. The auditors...
I've seen the auditors, but I specifically wonder what you mean about Jhaldrym.
As you say, the auditors move in shadow, attempting to manipulate change from within, to sow discord within the city, to advance their own agendas. Jhaldrym is doing the same, though with different intent. I wonder how long he will be able to continue his goal, so long as his interests are done behind the scenes. Eventually there will come a time where he needs the people of the city to rally around him. And if he operates entirely from the shadows, as is the Drow way, they will not be there for him. Not without something to gain for themselves. And then his dreams of equality are in tatters.
So you think he should come out from the shadows?
I think that people will invest in something they see as beneficial to them. They hate change. I think there is an avenue that he has not considered, and he will not hear it from me.
What is the avenue you're proposing?
He needs to lead. And I don't just mean his little group. He needs to champion what he believes in, and to do so publicly.
I see. I have to ask. I understand that you've put yourself in the position with him already, but would you support him if he did this? Even if it might mean that your power is diminished?
House
Seems-
Domator would lose some status, it is true, but of our house, I think we have the least to lose.
Can I insight check that? Just to... I don't
Yeah,
think she's lying to
go
me,
for it.
but just in case. Wow, that really sucks.
Yeah, so she obviously means that, but given what she's just told you about people only caring for things that benefit them, you get the feeling that there's more to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she says, our house above all has the least to lose.
I see.
Understand, though, I can never support him publicly. He has to stand alone.
But
I will
does he have the strength?
ensure that he does not fall to a knife in the dark, at least as much as I am capable of doing that, but he must find his own strength. And whether or not he has that is to be discovered.
And you said he won't hear this from you.
He will not. He
But-
is stuck in his own ways.
Then why tell me? Surely you have more sway with him than I do.
Quite the contrary. He trusted you and your companions without a second thought, but he danced around me like a moth around a flame. He would not even come to me directly for help. He sent you and your companions.
Well, that's fair, I suppose. Do you think that change could come to this city? If it was done properly?
The city is always changing. I have seen
Okay,
it all my life. All my life I have listened at the cracks in doorways, and I have seen the city change, sometimes for good, sometimes for ill. Which one of these this change will be is yet to be seen. As I told your friends, unity is what keeps the city together. Unbalance that, and this place falls to ruin. To manage change and unity is a skill that few have mastered.
I have to agree with you there. Though I will admit, the stuff that I have seen from Jhaldrym in the short time that we've known each other makes me wonder if he is one of the few that could do it if he tried.
That is the thing that interests me the most. Well, this has been most enlightening.
Yes, it has.
One last question, if I may.
Yes.
You asked me if I think change is possible in this city. I ask you the same of your own. Do you think the time will ever come when your people can put aside the past?
I will admit, most of my life has been spent outside of the elven societies. I left when I was but a youth. But I have seen elves that live out amongst in the human worlds who have shown a great propensity for change. And they are, some of them, older than I am. I think that it's, as you said, it's all about the leadership that they have. But it has to come from within, most likely. Jhaldrym's in a good position here. He has people who trust him already. I'm not sure if there's someone like that amongst the elves.
That is interesting to know.
I think you're right. I think it's just what people believe in. Without that, there's no change that can come.
She says something in Undercommon.
I don't speak Undercommon. Could you please repeat that, Common?
She smiles and just says, "Forgive me. It is a drow saying. I suppose the closest approximation is no change without suffering."
Viva la revolution! Well, you're probably right there.
At this point, there is a long, slow knock at the door. And the door is pushed open, and the matron's attendant steps in and says, "Forgive the intrusion, but the transfer is complete." And the matron nods and says, "Well, good luck on your travels, Arya Tallithsyr."
Thank you for your words of wisdom. And I'll just, give a slight bow and I guess walk out.
Okay. Yeah, and you head back to your companions.
Oh, I'm back!
Okay, so
alive?
the prisoner transfer is completed, and Arya returns to you.
I guess when I enter the room, well, where are we at exactly? Actually,
Where do you want to be?
I don't know. I guess we're probably in the dormitory house, right?
Yeah. You can have a room in the dormitory house briefly. Just a side chamber where you have been led to await Arya's return.
Yeah, I guess as I come in, I Jhaldrym a thoughtful look.
Okay.
What?
He sees you looking at him and just sort of looks back, sort of trying to assess what it is that you're doing with this look.
Just thinking. Are the prisoners out already?
All
Yes.
sorted.
All right.
It's basically just well, like we're pretty much ready to go home, I think.
Like home?
Maybe.
We might want to stick around for a day or two to see how, or a couple of days to see how things pan out.
We did
Yeah.
want to get some clothes.
I had clones, not clothes. I was really confused for a second.
Yeah, we're gonna clone ourselves?
Yeah.
That takes more than a couple days.
You
first
might-
We're
of
gonna use
all.
the clone spell. We're gonna use the
Yeah.
clone spell. We're gonna have to cut some bits out of us.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we can do that enough in combat.
Oh God!
Wow.
Terrible.
Technically
Anyway.
true, but still disgusting.
Yeah, Jhaldrym sort of says, yes, I suppose your objectives here are complete, at least in the some part. I
Well-
may
Can't do it at the moment.
I may not be able to fulfill my duties any longer, but I've given Rung enough information that our friend Gulen Markin is... He will be detained for a long time, and his organization will be under great scrutiny.
That's good at least.
Well,
I do not think they will be able to perform their rituals and recruit in quite the same capacity anymore.
Let's hope not.
I guess we never managed to told you. We also, at least, I think we all agree that like he's most likely the responsible one for the death of the. Like, wouldn't you say?
He so Jhaldrym sort of like interjects and says, "Actually, I think I may have inadvertently solved that one as well."
Oh.
I guess he actually knows his name, so he would refer to him. He says the bodyguard to Lathrana, the drow male Durden Hune. I knew I'd seen him before, though I didn't realize where until recently. He is... Well, to put it lightly, he is a hired killer. No doubt serving as bodyguard for Lathrana to serve whatever means he served with her. But he is an established poisoner. And it is my suspicions that, well, from what he was saying and the information that was passed along during my interrogation, I think at least part of our murder was staged. The combat in the study was real, at least, but I believe Hune may have, in his haste, botched what was intended to look like an accident. And from Lathrana's reaction to the events, I do not believe it was intended that he was killed. I believe they still had plans for him.
Well,
But at the very least, we know that he was in Macken's employ, and Macken was in the employ of Lathrana. So, as close as it comes, that's That's what we have. I'm not sure what action can be taken against Hune, as no doubt the moment he enters incarceration he will be whisked away by the auditors. They no doubt want to keep things under close wraps, but I do not think he will be a direct interference again. They will not take lightly to this failure. Especially not on a man.
Well, I guess that is somewhat good. If not quite the way I'd hope it to go. I must say, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little concerned that how Ziltus might try some funny business wisdom, get them in their employ, that kind of stuff. But I guess we'll have to just trust.
The same thought has gone through my head. What I'm hoping, at least in part of my agreement with Lady Sarah Drazer, is that I will be allowed to use certain resources to keep track of things.
Okay.
Sounds like what is needed is a strong leadership. And I just shoot a look at Jhaldrym.
He raises an eyebrow, realizes sort of where this is coming from, and says, "So I've heard."
I just think that the best situation in a tumultuous time is a leader who rises up. Possibly someone who's already trusted in the community.
I think he just nods, but there is definitely an exchange of glances that says, "This isn't over."
Dang.
Oh my god.
It's not over, you're right.
I
Well,
suppose, shall we retire to the inn?
I guess so.
Okay.
Oh, I guess there's one last thing before we leave. If things ever seem to go sideways again, be sure to contact us if you can. We want the best for this place as well.
He, I guess, to that he just sort of bows slightly, and says, "I wish I had words to adequately explain how thankful I am for that suggestion. I have a feeling that, at least for me, things will go sideways in, well, at least the next couple of days, but hopefully the arrangement I have made with Matron Domator will protect me from most of the storm. But if you're still in the city in a couple of days and things don't go to plan, then I will let you know."
Oh, I guess there was some shopping we wanted to do. Maybe get some stuff made to order. Plus, it might be nice experiencing the place from a different perspective than hunting down people.
Jhaldrym sort of smiles and says, "Yes, the city is very different on the beat and off it."
Also, if we're going to stay here, we're going to need better accommodation. Or
I know a few places.
oh, good. Oh, that sounds like
Always have to take recommendations.
Okay.
And before we leave, Jhaldrym, I would like a word at some point.
Dang.
now the elf wants to speak to the drow.
The elf wants to. We're throwing at the table.
Now the tables have tabled.
How the turns have tabled.
Okay. Jhaldrym seems like mildly irritated by that, but
Dang.
He could be mildly irritated.
yep.
I have earned the right to speak to him.
Okay. So I guess Jhaldrym gives you some recommendations for places to look at for places to upgrade your stay, and presumably the rest of you head out to do that. And wow, I suppose actually, you are shown the exit, and like Jhaldrym sort of like is like, hold on a moment, like, and then has the conversation with. Well, takes Arya aside. Well, Arya is taken aside by Arya for the conversation, and somebody lurks nearby to show you out when the conversation is concluded. Do you want to do this in private, or?
Part of me wants to just to be a dick. But we don't
Go
necessarily
for it.
have to.
Dang.
I mean,
You want
let's
to go for it.
do it.
Okay.
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 So like you take him aside, like, and he waits until everyone is sufficiently out of earshot and just says, "So I take it your little discussion went well."
She said many things that made sense to me.
I
But
see.
I mean, considering she was pretty much only the second drow in my entire life that talked to me as I was, a valued member of the world, was convincing, at least. Second, of course, to you.
He like he bites his tongue a little and just sort of says, "You do know she is Domator. She will speak to you in exactly the tone it is you need to hear."
Possibly. But all she said to me, which I agree with, is that you have shown a propensity to care for these people of the city in a way that I don't think anyone around here does. And I think it would be wrong for you not to take your position and use it for good.
He sort of like sighs a little and says, "I had a position. I no longer have a position. I'm no longer Scion, or I won't be in a couple of hours."
But you have people who trust you. And your name is known. I think if you would just explain what happened, there would be more people that trusted you. Because, I mean, I'm not overly familiar with the politics of this city, but it seems like there's a great many people who would benefit from an overhaul of the auditors.
That is very much true. I mean, the whole political system of this city is riddled with holes and rife to corruption, but I don't know that I am the right person to lead that. I have always been, well, me. There isn't a good way to put it.
When I was...
I've led a team. I can't lead a people.
Well, you don't know until you try, but we are all thrust into positions that we don't have experience sometime or other. It's what we do in that position that matters. My whole life, I've been in positions where I didn't know what was going on, or I wasn't sure if I would live, and then I just gritted my teeth and fought my way through it. Sometimes for better and sometimes for worse, but I would say overall, it's ended up much better than I would have expected. I mean, I left my people when I was young and ventured off on my own on a mission that I thought would fulfill me in some way, and ended up being a completely different outcome. And yet, I think it changed me for the better.
I can relate to that.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do, and I'm certainly not trying to tell the city how to run itself, but after listening to her talk and understanding that you are in a position that I think there are a few others that could be, and even more so because you're about to, not to be rude, but even more so because you're about to lose your position over it, I think it would make people trust you.
He looks like he wants to argue back, but the words fail.
Yeah.
And he just sort of says, I don't know how to do this. I don't even feel like myself admitting that to you.
I mean, it's definitely going to be hard. I'm not going to say that it's not. And there will be moments when you question yourself, but I think overall, just start with some small steps. I know that you have a band of people around you who are of a similar mind. I don't know how big this network is, but something. When I was with the matriarch, she told me that you need to express your doctrine more clearly, and I agree. I think if you talk, people will listen. I mean, you made me listen the first time we met, which my companions will tell you is not exactly an easy task sometimes, for better or worse.
I don't think that's quite comparable. I mean, talking to you is very different than trying to persuade a crowd that...
But these are your people. These are people that know you and know your house. They will, if you tell them, they'll know your story. I was an elf that you met for the first time who had ever... I think it would be much easier to persuade me.
I don't know, I preferred openly hostile and adversarial. It almost made it easier.
Honestly, that's true.
He laughs with you.
But I think I understand that you think you can enact some amount of change in the way you currently are going towards. And you're probably right. But especially given what Grim just said about the other houses moving in and making a play, or the Auditors doing something, or maybe even the Dread Legion's direct involvement, I worry that it is going to be a vacuum with the Auditors in their weakened state, and I think it would be best if there was a leader that rose up that was a more uniting force outside of the...
We need somebody to take control of that. Yes, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ready.
I don't think anybody's ever ready for giant social change. And this is coming from me, who was brought up in a society that hasn't changed in thousands of years.
No, I will admit I'm curious to hear the story of how you did leave your home.
It's not a happy one.
No, I
And
can imagine not.
it has, well, I won't call it a happy ending, but
A redemptive one?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, that was presumptive of me.
Well, it's just a rather complicated story, I'm afraid. But it's just Arya struggling to find
Yeah.
where.
He sort of like reaches out and like just puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "It's okay. You don't have to if you don't want to."
Well, my friends are the only ones I've ever really told the story to. Well, they experienced at least some of it with me. But there was a great evil that attacked one of my friends growing up, and after that I set off on a quest of vengeance that eventually I accomplished, but it almost tore me apart in the process. And it was only because of my friends, really, that I don't know who I would have been if they wouldn't have come along.
He seems to consider that for a moment and just sort of says, "You know, I'm worried that when the time comes, I'll feel the same."
I think it's just about surrounding yourself with the correct people. People that won't let you stray off the path. Even if you want to.
Well, I certainly seem to have met one person who's very forcible with what they want.
Well, I just have seen things, so many corrupt individuals who have risen up and made the lower people's lives hard, and it's not exactly something I want to happen here. Even if I will likely not see these people frequently or again even. It doesn't sit right that someone would misuse their power here.
Well, if I live through the days to come, you're always welcome to come back. You don't have to be a stranger. I know it's hard with a few thousand years of established prejudice, but your presence has not been unpleasant.
Well, it's not every day a drow and a elf can be friends. That's for sure. And Arya, I imagine, looks a little friends. She's like, oh god.
Yeah, he's like, yes, I have to say, friends with the surface elf is not something that ever really crossed my mind.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Not that I dislike it.
Well, no, it's just weird.
Yeah, weird is right.
Wow, this conversation. But I think that, as I was saying, I think that from what I've seen, at least, and granted I have a limited view of the situation, perhaps, but I think you have what it takes to be a leader.
Thank you. Strangely, that feels more reassuring than it did coming from Saradrasa.
Maybe it's because I have less stakes in this game.
Yes, perhaps you're right.
But I meant what we said before. If you need us again, you've been a friend to us here, and we kind of make it our business to help out those who help.
Thank you. And if there's anything I can do, the same. I really would like it if you weren't a stranger.
Well, if we ever travel down here again, I'll be sure to look you up. God.
Sounds good. Well, I guess I have some things to think about and some preparations to make, but I'll be here.
We'll
Like I
let you know
can
when we leave.
really go anywhere else.
Yeah, well,
At least not for the moment. Not while there's potentially people out there who would quite like to string me up.
yeah, try to avoid having that happen, if at all possible.
Yeah, it's not high on my priority list. Well, see you when I see you, I guess.
What? Oh, why? Why are we both so awkward? Arya's just gonna nod, I guess.
Okay. This just sort of like an awkward wave.
And then she's gonna turn to leave and then turn back and be like, and stick out a hand for a handshake.
Okay, he's like, okay, yep, just shakes your hand.
God. Handshake.
Yep.
Yep. This is the epitome of flirting.
he just sort of sits there stands there just sort of looking at you so. It's not sure whether he should go or whether you're gonna go.
I mean, if he shakes my hand, then I'll leave.
Yeah. He shakes your hand and then he just sort of turn
Okay.
away and.
Yeah, and then I'll leave
Okay.
because I'm probably quite red in the face.
Yep. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, you
Well,
leave and go
that
back to your
was-
companions.
That was a conversation.
Small
Oh.
pit.
Hello, I have
Hello.
returned from
Welcome back.
possibly the worst, most awkward conversation ever.
Wow,
Oh.
that's saying a lot.
I
It
look
was
forward
not
to
the worst.
listening. I look forward to listening to it back
Oh yeah.
2 months from now.
Yep.
Wow.
Sorry, Dave.
The call
Sorry,
outs.
Dave.
Whew.
But yeah, so you're waiting there for a few moments, outside the Domator Manor when Arya comes out. She looks a little flustered.
Oh.
Flustered, you say?
We're all
I
awful.
really want you guys to understand exactly why I'm flustered, because it is wonderful.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, yeah. Seeing that, Elizabeth's gonna go, "Are you all right, Arya?"
And Arya's gonna be like, "What? Yeah, I'm fine." Don't be suspicious.
Clarence just raises an eyebrow and doesn't say anything.
That is
Are you sure?
just.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh well.
It was just. I'll tell you about the conversation.
Okay. Should we
Is
find somewhere
Jhaldrym
nice
still
to
alive?
stay?
Yes.
What,
There's-
Kelariis?
Is that his Jhaldrym still alive?
He's fine.
That's clearly said in a very joking tone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and I imagine Arya jokes right back. She's like, "Yeah, I think he's okay."
Yeah. Should we find somewhere with a slightly nicer
also, there's one of the things I wanted to do is, well, just over the course of the next couple of days is remember that like seamstress that we may have harassed a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably just go to her store and order like some nice clothing because she seems
no,
like
yeah.
she actually did a good job.
No, yeah, I definitely want to buy clothes.
And then specifically ask for her as like
Yeah.
A gesture
Yeah.
of goodwill.
She's
If
probably
she-
gonna be like, "Why the fuck are you in my shop again?"
You
Right.
scratched our back, we scratch yours.
That's not really how that works
Shh,
in this case, but sure.
it's fine.
Yeah,
For us, though.
There is an uncomfortable moment when she turns up and sees that it's you guys that are requested her, and then when she sees it's just business, she's actually relatively happy to
And-
assist.
Yeah,
we'll also like mention like
yeah.
like
Just
the
want some nice clothes.
mention the other business is permanently done now.
Yeah, I suppose if you do this like a day after, she sort of says, "Yes, I have heard at least part of what has supposedly come to pass. I think it's best if we all left it behind us."
Yes. Well,
It's been quite a long time since I've had new clothes.
Yeah, we're gonna look fly.
yeah, these are gonna be fancy ass clothing.
Yeah. So hang on. So fine clothes. So it is 15 gold pieces for fine clothes.
Wow.
So yeah, go ahead and spend that, and you can each add a set of I guess it would just be fine handcrafted or fine hand stitched clothing. I say that like there's any other kind of stitching, but it is bespoke hand stitched. But yes, you may all add a set of particularly fine clothes, which may appear as you desire. Which you can tailor-make pretty much anything.
Nice. The hardest parts.
With
Coming up with
precious metals and gems woven in as needed, because that's one of the
wow.
the additional comments of fine clothes.
Oh shit.
well,
Yeah.
and those must be some cheap ass gems.
If they're
Well,
small
they're
enough
just
to be
small,
woven
yeah.
in,
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
they're probably
They're
like
just-
the
yeah.
leftovers from carving other stuff. or
Yes.
Cutting other things.
Or if you want
That's
like
true.
or if you want gold, it might just be like gold leaf.
Yeah. Oh, there was one other
Or just
thing.
gold thread.
Like we didn't really go into it at all, because we found that grand blacksmith.
There was a large blacksmith. Yes.
Yes, the large. I don't know if there was like, I don't know if there's anything special there, or is that just very productive blacksmith?
It is a very productive, very fine quality blacksmith, but the the problem is all of the blacksmithing work that you guys have is also is probably masterwork quality, not and the stuff here isn't exactly masterwork.
Yeah, we ain't gonna drag stuff for mercenaries
Yeah.
over.
No, that'd be kind of
well.
a pain in the ass. I mean, I guess we could like treat our
And yeah, if you wanted to buy a
Higher
present
up.
for someone. Yeah. If you wanted to buy
Oh,
a
yeah,
present
actually-
for someone.
Buy a souvenir.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna
Well-
fucking get like, I don't know, how much would it be to get like a nice sword for, I don't know, like Tallithsyr or something? Like if I wanted to get something for her.
A nice sword.
Nice.
Well, Tallithsyr uses longsword, right?
Correct. Yeah, because she does two-handed
Yes.
longsword.
So yeah, it's probably about the same, about 15 gold for a longsword.
Fucking, I'll buy her a longsword. Did we? Sorry, did the first 15 for clothes? Did we take out of our individual things? Because I just don't want to double deduct if we're taking.
I think everyone's deducting from individual.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it makes
Yeah,
no sense.
I just didn't want to double deduct, but
Yeah.
I figured. Oops.
Yeah. So yeah, you go ahead and get a handcrafted longsword, or at least a fine quality longsword. And I suppose, yeah, with this, it'll probably take you at least a couple of days of being in town. So go ahead and, if you want to stay in a high class establishment, you can. It's probably for rooms for the 4 of you. It's probably like 2 gold a night, and you're probably there for like 3 days. So.
6 gold.
Per person or in total?
In total.
I'll just deduct that. There we go.
Lovely.
Can't believe this place actually got fixed up, kind of.
And yeah, when we get
Potentially.
and yeah, once we've also retired to rooms, Elizabeth is gonna go. So that conversation you had, Arya.
Dang.
Call me a
Yeah.
little curious.
Essentially, the matron wanted to talk to me because she thought I could convince Jhaldrym to become more of a figure of a leader in this city.
Oh.
That explains
Um,
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does.
Basically, she thinks that he has what it takes to move the city in a new direction. And I have to admit, I agree with her. So that's what I was talking. Sorry.
That was what
go
your
ahead.
little conversation with just him was.
Yeah, that was me trying to convince him that that was the right move. He didn't want to believe it.
It's very interesting that a matron of one of the houses is pushing for something like that to happen.
She was a very strange woman, I will say.
Yeah.
I mean, she has her motivations.
She spoke to me about many things, including... I mean, she spoke to me as not an elf, but not a drow talking to an elf, which should say something. But I think she's just very old and has seen a lot of things in her time. And considering her house felt the effects of the auditors on her.
She certainly wasn't what I was expecting,
No.
but in a nice way.
I'm sure
Because I
people say
questioned
that
her
about
on...
us all the time.
What, Jayla?
I said I'm sure people say that about us all the time, not being what they were
Yeah.
expecting.
Oh. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much why she wanted to talk to me, is because it was so out of the ordinary to see an elf willing to help the drow. So, I don't know if I convinced Jhaldrym exactly, but he seemed more willing to perhaps move in that direction after we're done talking.
So, what got you leaving there so flustered?
Nothing!
Oh dear.
Arya just looks at Elizabeth and I wasn't flustered.
You
I was
definitely
just
were.
I was just a little preoccupied with my thoughts.
It's, I don't know, the way you reacted when I asked if you were okay kind of begs to differ.
Look, we were just talking. Nothing happened. It's fine.
Oh, come on. We're all friends here.
Wow. Such digging.
I may have called him my friend.
That's high praise coming from you.
I know.
Yeah.
So, it was just a little bit. It took me a little bit off guard, even though I was the one saying it. Who said it? Said it. Typical Arya gets flustered over calling somebody their
Yep.
and the sexual tension handshake.
Oh my god.
Wow. Believe it.
Arya's not going to bring that up, but that's definitely what
Yeah.
happened.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, in character that's just like suddenly you're like significantly less scary.
I imagine Arya just shoots her. Don't worry, I can be plenty scary.
Oh no, trust me, believe me, I know you can.
But yeah, I just think that it would be a shame for him to have gone through all this trouble to root out this corruption and then just have it come back in a different form, perhaps. But
Yeah. Well, it isn't exactly unusual for someone's work to go unnoticed till long after they've passed.
He seems committed to making a change, though. And whatever he sets in motion now will probably at least start something, if not finish it.
yeah,
I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, but I'm pretty sure he knows that.
I just think he
Yep.
doesn't see himself as a leader yet.
No.
So, gotta work up to that point.
There is one interesting thing about him potentially being the leader. If he became houseless, he would be a leader without a house.
Exactly.
Well, that might be exactly what this place needs.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to convince him of. I was like, you were of a house, but now you're not of a house. So I think it would be good to have someone with that perspective making the changes.
And as he says, he has seen it from, well, the perspective of the average citizen. There is something to be said of a governance that knows what its people goes through before it makes decisions.
Like I said to him, I'm not in any sort of position to be telling people how to run their governments. But we've seen a lot of things in our travel.
Well, I feel like we are in a position to maybe tell people off occasionally if they are out of line. Which I feel like we kind of did here.
Oh yeah, we're not going to stand by and just let someone do horrible things, whether they're in charge or not.
Yeah.
I mean, of course not.
I think we deserve to try and enjoy these next few days. We're going to be hanging around.
Oh, that's the plan.
We need to see what else this city has to offer.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Never got to experience those orcs, so I think that might be for the better.
Those orcs.
Well, you know, I've always been curious about them. That essentially,
it's not,
like,
it's not your interest that we're questioning, it's your choice of words, again. You never got to experience the orcs.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
yeah, you know, guess you just need to learn how to interpret better. But no. That said, I wonder how this place will go. We should definitely come back here at some point. If not because we've been sent an emergency letter.
Well, at the very least, it's a place worth keeping an eye on. Now that we've been here.
Yeah, and Jhaldrym did say if we ever came back, we should make ourselves not be strangers. Now that we're friends.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that him?
Now that you've had the awkward friendship handshake.
Is that him saying we should go get drinks?
I don't know. How be friends?
How be friends when not in combat together?
I have like one friend who's not these people.
Arya gets an achievement.
Plus
friend.
one friend.
Oh no.
Oh, and my other friend is gonna hate this friend, so it's fine.
Yep. Isn't it great? You've got two friends and they can never know about each other.
Yeah, that's gonna work out real well.
Actually,
Yeah.
he'd probably be fine with her, just she probably wouldn't be fine with him.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be one of those cases where just gonna let them get used to each other. Just keep them separate until they can, you know.
Say that like they're two pets being
Oh.
introduced
Yeah.
to each other.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Basically, though.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
It's like
like
you
when we get a
God.
new cat.
You let them meet through a baby gate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
always
then
just do
you
that. We
swap them into different rooms so they
Yeah.
can smell each other's scents and shit.
Yeah.
yeah, get used to them being around.
I feel like Jhaldrym is the new puppy and Simone is just the really displeased cat.
Yes. She's like, why did you bring this rat into my life?
Yeah, I will agree. Like, if he ever shows up wanting to join Amber Eagle, I wouldn't say no, but I do expect it to cause some strains in certain relationships if they find out.
Yeah, not to mention
Yeah.
all the elves in our service.
Yeah, well, you know, we don't have too many elves.
Yeah.
And we're already pushing it with the half drow.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, people that have come to join the Amber Eagle may be the most willing to accept a drow in that sense.
That's
Mm.
true.
We're all so fucking weird already.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
we're a
Like
diverse
an
enough gang.
unusual, yeah.
I like to think that we can judge based on actions, not on appearances.
Well, that
The
said,
Amber
if
Eagle set a good example.
look, to be fair, if they don't want to work for us because of it, then they shouldn't. They
Yeah,
probably
well.
shouldn't be part of us to begin with.
Yeah, I see your point there.
We'll set a good example. Except for Grimm's talking, don't use that.
Yeah, I know. Do not take lessons from Grim in talking to people. Unless
You
you
might be
want to.
surprised.
Unless you want things to go wrong.
Oh, look, where's like you can't argue his results.
Yeah.
Well, I can argue that we would have gotten the results faster
Hmm,
and more efficiently.
I feel like, you know, like a day, maybe day and a half in order to get like all this stuff done. Not that it's, you know, it's acceptable.
I also referred you to the part where you alienated an entire crowd of fey creatures by saying, well, if you don't like it, remember who killed your leader.
Mhm.
Wow.
I can't remember quite what the wording was, but yeah,
Case
something along those
and
lines.
Point.
Yeah.
So,
Ah,
I think with that, that's a good spot to leave it.
Yeah.
So,
Elizabeth offers to buy drinks.
yeah, I think we end the scene with all of you guys in your more upper class establishment, like toasting each other with a round of drinks, and that's where we fade out.
Aw.
But yeah, no, this was a fun session. I thoroughly
Yeah.
enjoyed this.
yeah.
It was
Yeah,
definitely
it's good.
amusing.
Yeah, I planned for it to go many ways, and yeah, it ended interestingly.
In none of those ways is what you're trying to say.
Well, let's just
Or
say I went into this predicting that one of the possible solutions we got you would just straight up break into a fight and assault everyone, and that happened. So
Yeah.
I just didn't know where it would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it turns
Well-
out it happened in the room where it happens.
Well, you know, they didn't want to listen. We gave them a chance. Their own fault.
But yes,
But man,
you
True.
averted the crisis. You stopped Jhaldrym being escorted off to like literal hell jail.
Yep.
You avoided also going to jail yourselves and any other bad things that could have happened.
Yep.
My NPCs rolled fucking awfully, despite being like a goddamn crack team.
yeah, we did basically come out unscathed.
Maybe
Well,
that's the problem. You went to the drow and said, I need a crack team, and they sent you a team on crack.
At least a team on crack would have been able to take more damage.
Damn, you know what?
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway. Yeah, I guess unless anyone has anything else to add.
No.
Well, all that's left to do is to say thank you all for playing, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.